What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. The water's getting hot, fishing's getting better. About to be that time where you start jumping up and down the rocks a lot. So what I figured I'd do is I'd make a video of some of the gear I'm going to be running this year. So what's going to be in my bag is pretty much what we're going to go over. So for kingfish and stuff, a lot of these lures are going to overlap for species of fish that we're targeting. But for starters, my kingfish, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a lot of shallow lipped and shallow diving lures. That's going to consist of like X-Wraps. These are actually knockoff X-Wraps, but same body style, same lip profile as a legit X-Wrap. So it's going to be X-Wrap. A lot of this stuff is just going to vary in size and style and color, but running some. This is an actual X-Wrap, but this is a lipless long cast. This is a Yozuri Hydra Minnow. Now this is the 170. I'll run a smaller one, but again, look at that lip profile, shallow diving. Sometimes you can see those kingfish actually swipe at these. It's pretty cool to watch. Jointed lures. Now they're jointed, but again, look at these lip profiles. They are both shallow diving. So they're both going to stay in that area that we want to fish when we're targeting kingfish. The next kind of lure that I'm going to use is my favorite search bait, spoons, 3-ounce spoons, 2 to 3-ounce spoons. I prefer 3-ounce because I like to throw further than everybody else. So 3-ounce spoons. Now you can catch kings, jacks, and bull reds on both of these. I have more luck with bull reds and jack crevalle on the gold than I do on the silver, and I have more luck for kingfish on the silver than I do the gold. Next kind of lure that we're going to be using is actually going to be bucktails. This is a 2-ounce bucktail, and this is a 1-ounce bucktail. I like to throw these bucktails whenever fish are being caught kind of on the channel side of the jetty, just because due to their profile, they sink super fast, and then 2, I feel like I don't get hung up in the rocks as much as I do these 3-ounce spoons, especially when I'm searching for fish. I've caught a lot of bull reds on bucktails. They're a fun lure to throw. They're lighter and less strain on you than throwing like the 3-ounce spoon and the big poppers. So I'll be throwing this on like one of my lighter or setups, you know, so that way I can really work it almost like I'm working a wacky worm or something out in the middle of the channel. Very, very easy to work them, and very easy to get bites when they're fish around. So last kind of lure that we're going to talk about that I like using are poppers. If you know me, you know I love to fish topwater. They are amazing. If the water is clear and kingfish are blowing up out of the water, please tie on a popper. These kingfish will come 30 feet out of the water hitting these poppers. They're fun to watch. Hookup ratio is kind of iffy. I mean, I've literally had kingfish come up with their mouth kind of like that between both hooks and not hooked up, but it's a fun way to fish. A lot of times those kingfish blow-ups, they sound like someone's dropping a bowling ball from like 30 feet above the water. It's insane to watch, and it's fun to throw these things. A little bit strainful on the body just because they're heavier, and you're kind of having to be real aggressive and work these things real hard, but they're fun to use. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is we will talk about my leader material that I'm going to be running. For starters, I don't like running any wire. I've been outfished by people not using wire. Sometimes I feel like those kingfish can be a little bit finicky for some reason and not hit wire. So I just run straight fluorocarbon and straight mono this year. But typically in the past I've run just straight fluorocarbon to my lure. So this is going to be 80-pound Yozuri. I'm going to be running 4 to 6 feet of leader tied straight to my braid, no shock leaders, no nothing. And then this is going to be 125-pound mono. Now the 125, I'm just going to kind of experimenting this year because I've heard with the mono, even though it's 125, it still gives you a little bit better action than your heavier fluoro. Now the last thing as far as lure wise and that end of the rod that I'm going to be using are actually these snap swivels. Now these snap swivels, I love to use them simply because I can change out baits super fast. I can be throwing these kind of rapalos or spoons, and if I see kingfish start blowing up or it just gets about the right time and I see fish feeding, you know, I can unclip and clip straight on to a big popper and start throwing a popper. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of the rods that I'm going to be using, kind of why and what each rod is going to be used for. Now the first rod that I'm gonna be using, this is actually gonna be a 5,000 shield with 30-pound braid. I love the shields. You'll be able to tell how much I love them here in a minute. I love the shields. Now this is actually an 8-foot musky blank, the rod is. It's rated 3/4 to 3 ounce. So with this rod, I have the ability to throw these big 3-ounce spoons, but I'm not going to a lot of the times. Really what I'll probably use this rod for is bigger swim baits and bucktails this year. It being a musky rod and kind of like a bass profile rod, this rod is super light, so I want to use it on a rod where I have to really work and make a lot of casts. So like with these bucktails, I can make hundreds of casts with this bucktail and not really fill it with this rod. All right, the next rod I'm going to be using, this is a 710. It's a blemish blank. I have an idea what kind of blank it is, but I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to look like an idiot if I'm wrong. But this rod can handle lures up to about 2 ounces. I don't have the actual specs on it, but what I'm going to be using this for is what I found out is this rod throws my hydro minnows and rapalas really well. So this rod also has a 5,000 on it, 5,000 shield, a little bit older one, but a 5,000 shield, running 30-pound test. So if I'm running 30 on both these rods, I get easily over 300 yards of it. So on both of these rods, I have about 80 yards of backing. I think another color of 40-pound braid. And the last rod I'm going to be using, and probably that I'm most excited for because I just built it for myself, this is an 8-foot rain shadow blank. This rod is rated 1 to 4 ounces, so this is going to be the main rod that I'm throwing my big poppers and big spoons on. Besides it looking kind of bulky, this rod is actually very light. I tried to build it as light as I can, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. This is going to be hooked up with a 6,000 shield. Now with the 6,000, I'm actually running 50-pound braid because I want to be throwing a lot of the bigger poppers and bigger spoons. Even with the 50, I still think I have around 300 yards of line. I recommend running braid if you're coming to the jetty, period, because you really don't know what you're going to hook. And if I hook a 50-pound bull red, I'm going to be very glad that I have over 300 yards of line if I hook that red at the very end of my cast into the channel, where you got to fight them to get 50 feet up and 60 yards to you. And as you can see, kind of the reoccurring theme with the rods is they can handle those lures that are 2 to 3 ounce. Now that is the main thing I recommend when you're coming out to the jetties, is please bring gear that can handle the fish you're targeting. It breaks my heart to see people out there with trout and redfish rods getting absolutely whooped up on fish, or whooped up by fish. Come out prepared. You don't need all the custom-made rods that I have. The shields are around $120 for the reel, and that's actually pretty inexpensive given the current market. So I really recommend the shields. They hold up really well. As you can see, I'm going to be running 3 of them this year on my main rods. But rods themselves, you don't need the fancy ones like I have, the custom-made ones. So this is actually an 8-foot Tika that I picked up from Roy's Bait and Tackle. This rod, whenever I bought it, was like $65, and now I think they're around the $70 to $80 price range. But I do know they make a couple different models that are from the $80 to like $120, but these rods are amazing. I'm actually in the process of fixing the eyes on a lot of them because I don't want to get rid of them, and I've just had them for so long that they're great rods. They can handle those 3-ounce lures. I've caught plenty of jacks, kingfish, and bull reds on them. If you're getting started, I highly recommend looking at brands like Tika. They're, like I said, they're inexpensive. They're a great starting point if you're just getting introduced to this kind of fishing and you think you want to take it seriously. So, like I said, Tika and Tsunami Shield. A reel's a reel, in my opinion. I love the shields just because they're kind of proven in my mind with how much I use them and how many fish I've caught on them. But I recommend, anything 4,000 and up in reel size, especially if you are going to be targeting kingfish. I recommend at least a 4,000. You hook a 40-pound kingfish, you can lose your whole spool in a matter of seconds if you have a small reel. So anyways, hope I didn't talk too much. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just get into some footage of me working these spoons. The main Main reason I want to do that is just because everyone works these spoons differently, and I see a lot of people working them the same way, and that's going to be just short consecutive rips up. So I am going to just do some footage of me catching a bull red, working a spoon, and then I'll also do 1 or 2 hookups on these kingfish lures. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll get right into that fishing footage. Got asked about how you work these spoons, and the best way to describe it is you let that thing sink. Woo! You want to let that spoon sink, and then you're ripping it up, like legit ripping it up. It's kind of forceful. Whenever I bring buddies that never done this before, I always tell them don't try and be a tough guy and fish non-stop, because it is tiring. Good long cast into the wind right there. I guess I'm just gonna quit casting as far. Yep. Oh yeah. But this rod's like a broomstick, so you hardly feel a fight. Hey, and I made a short cast too. I said I'm just gonna flip it out there. They must be right in front of us. He's barely bending this rod. Get them BOGO grips ready. This rock right here. Oh. You gotta, yeah, make sure you hold them open. They're kind of old.
Yeah. Are you coming right here?
Yeah. That's 80 if you can grab them. Good job. Thanks, Frank. Woo. Here, here I'll carry them off.
Dude, we gotta get pictures of this, dude.
Here, let's get on the silver spoon. You gotta get him back quick. Got him? Alright. Oh. There he goes. Keep going. What? Yeah. I got plenty of them. Use them. I was just gonna see where your line's at. On Old Faithful. This is the one I caught him on last time too. What'd you say? Yeah, same lure and everything. Yeah, it's king. Hey, if you want him, he ain't that big either. Somebody will. Yeah. Where is he? Oh, okay. Whew. Nice. Nice. Good look at him, because I didn't want to do that last time. Whew. That's a good one. Oh, all right.